Some of the strangest mysteries on the internet aren't the famous ones everyone talks about. They're the obscure ones hiding in plain sight. The kind barely anyone remembers, yet somehow refuse to disappear. When it comes to digging into internet mysteries, I've always enjoyed the forgotten corners, the stories that haven't been covered to death. They feel fresher, more unpredictable, and sometimes closer to being solved. But the number we're looking at today isn't something I'd normally even consider an internet mystery. In fact, you could argue it isn't an internet mystery at all, because the strange story surrounding this number started in the real world long before the internet kept it alive. What we're about to explore is more than 20 years of scattered first-hand accounts, all trying to explain what might be one of the strangest phone numbers people remember from the 1990s. To clarify before we go any further, this number is a telephone number, specifically a 1-800 number, and I'll reveal it in just a moment. But before I do, I strongly advise you not to call it. Not only does the number no longer belong to the same owner it did in the 90s, but today it's connected to an erotic hotline. We'll get into how the number changed ownership later in the story. For now, consider that your warning if you're tempted to dial it during this video. With that out of the way, let's reveal the number. It's -800, Golf Chip. And if that sounds random, just wait. Things are about to get a whole lot stranger. For a bit of background, we need to dive into the rumors surrounding this number because it appears in countless Google searches, and as you'll soon see, people are just as confused about it as we are. At first, I assumed this was just some prank number designed to trick people into calling an erotic hotline. But after experimenting with every possible variation, none of them were clever enough to justify the joke. I'll leave all the number combinations on screen here. Maybe you'll see something I didn't. Because, as far as anyone can tell, this mysterious phone number has no clear explanation. There's even an entire website dedicated to collecting memories from people who claim to remember it, all trying to piece together what really happened. The site is called 1-800golftip.com. The homepage opens with a strange message. Hold the phone. Remember the 90s. Remember high school. Remember calling 1-800-GOLF-TIP. If you don't, you're a fraud. If you do, what the hell was that? We're here to find out. After reading through almost every first-hand account I could find, a pattern begins to emerge. According to most people who remember calling the number, a pre-recorded voice would play, a man calmly counting from 1 to 10, over and over again. But something about the recording felt off. Several callers remember strange pauses between certain numbers, especially around 6, 7, or 8. And the man's voice is often described as having either an Indian or Middle Eastern accent. Even stranger. Some people claim that if you stayed on the line long enough, a sudden scream would blast through the phone, or a loud synthetic siren, almost like a jump scare, designed to shock whoever was listening. Most accounts trace the origin of this number back to Canada, and a few people even claim the mystery started with a billboard advertisement. We'll come back to that billboard shortly. But here's something interesting. If you search all the number variations connected to this story, the only one that consistently appears anywhere online is -800, Golf Chip, which suggests something important. This wasn't random dialing. If people were just experimenting with phone numbers, we'd see countless variations, like 1-800-GOL-FVIP or similar combinations. But we don't. That tells us there was likely some real source behind the number in the 90s. Something that caused thousands of people to remember the exact same thing. One even submitted a question to the website's contact page, hoping to hear from someone with direct knowledge of the number. So far, nothing, but maybe one day that will change. While searching for more information, I eventually stumbled across a Reddit thread from someone who claimed to have seen the mysterious billboard in St. Catharines, Ontario. The post came from a user named Oh I Get Jokes, and about 10 months before I found it, he was asking the exact same question we are today. Most of the thread repeated things we'd already heard, but there were a few details that stood out. He described calling the number repeatedly as a kid after seeing the billboard in his town. even practicing imitating the voice on the recording. But the most important discovery came from another user in the thread named Connie Lindy. Connie managed to find an archived student newspaper from Carleton University in Ottawa, dating all the way back to 1993, and buried inside that newspaper was a reference to the phone number. Students had listed 1-800-GOLF-TIP as something they liked. That one small reference confirms something crucial. The number definitely existed in the early 90s. In the Reddit thread, Oh, I Get Jokes even uploaded an audio file recreating how he remembered the recording sounding. Let's listen. Imitation audio segment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. According to him, the loop was almost seamless, repeating endlessly. He also described the billboard itself. A full-color image of a golf ball sitting on bright green grass. A club angled away from the camera. And in bold yellow 3D, lettering across the sign. -800, Golf Tip. But things get even stranger when you look into who owns the phone number today. Tracing the records leads to a company called Mayfair Communications, which appears in the 1-800 database in 1998, 5 years after the newspaper reference. And when you start researching Mayfair Communications, things quickly start looking suspicious. The company has almost no online presence, no official website, and a surprising number of scam complaints linked to its name. Tigre Prime Telecommunication, also based in Philadelphia. And Prime Tel is notorious for buying millions of expired phone numbers, only to redirect them to erotic chat lines, which likely explains what happened to the number after the 90s. Once the original owner let it expire, the number was scooped up and repurposed, meaning the erotic hotline was probably never part of the original mystery. So that brings us to the real question. Why did 1-800-GOLF-TIP exist in the first place? After looking into everything, 3 main theories appear. The first theory is that the entire thing was a hoax or social experiment. But that doesn't make much sense. Why spend money on a billboard? Just to confuse people with no real payoff. The second theory is that the creator planned something bigger, but never finished it. Maybe the counting recording was just a placeholder. Maybe something happened before the real project launched. But the third theory, the one that makes the most sense to me, involves telemarketing. In the 1990s, telemarketing was booming. Caller ID existed, meaning companies could collect active phone numbers simply by getting people to call them first. A mysterious billboard with a strange number would be the perfect bait. Every curious person who dialed the number would automatically have their phone number logged. Those numbers could then be sold to telemarketing companies. If that's true, the billboard may have generated thousands of valuable phone leads. And considering how widely the number spread by word of mouth, it might have been an incredibly profitable trick. But the truth is, we may never know for sure, because everything we have today comes from scattered memories and first-hand accounts, and those are notoriously unreliable. So for now, 1-800-GOLF-TIP remains nothing more than a strange internet urban legend from the 90s. But mysteries like this are exactly why I love digging into forgotten corners of the internet. And now I want to hear from you. If you have a theory, or if you actually remember calling this number back in the day, drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoy uncovering strange mysteries like this one, make sure you subscribe to the Money Team and turn on notifications, because the next story might be even stranger. Until then, stay curious.